The first letter looks like an ox or bull, which is reflected in its name, as Aleph comes from the Hebrew word for ox. It is associated with strength and power. It can also represent me, myself, and I, because you can't do anything for anyone else unless you have yourself figured out first. The name Aleph has a root word meaning both to learn and to teach, going around in an endless cycle of learning, growing, and teaching. And that's Aleph. The second letter resembles a house or a floor plan, which is reflected in the name itself, Bet. Having an overhead look, you can see what's inside, which is fitting because Bet used as a prefix means to be inside something, as in the beginning. It also looks like a maze to explore, or wrinkles in the brain, meaning the more training in the maze, the smarter you become. And that's Bet. The third letter looks more like a camel's hump, which is fitting given that it is the word for camel. It's the idea of traveling over long distances to pay or reward someone for a service or a very expensive item. It also looks like a foot or a boot on its way somewhere, meaning it has a purpose and making progress towards its destination and goal. And that's Gimel. The fourth letter is shaped to look like a doorway. It is an entrance or exit of a portal or passageway to another place, another world, or another dimension. It represents change and transition, or even transformation, a coming and going, a giving and receiving. Where you end up going, however, is all up to you. And that's Dalet. The fifth letter looks like someone with his hands up, trying to get someone's attention. It is a revealing, an awareness to something, a realization. The Hey prefix denotes the Hebrew equivalent for the word, the, and the suffix denotes a demonstrative force of whatever precedes it. It is the actual release of power, like the name of the Creator itself. And that's Hey. The sixth letter looks like and is also the same word for a nail or a peg. It's the idea of linking or joining ideas, things, and people together. In Hebrew, the letter itself is the word for and, so it literally connects words and phrases together. And that's Wa. The seventh letter has a double meaning. It can be a weapon for you to cut obstacles out of your way, or it can be a plow that goes through a field, tilling the ground and planting the things and ideas you want in its place, which ultimately leads to its root meaning of being well-fed. And that's Zayin. The eighth letter represents a fence or an enclosure. It's the idea of setting a border or boundary to protect you from what's harmful outside and to keep inside more of what you want. It can even have a bonus meaning, like a hurdle or an obstacle to climb over and overcome. And that's Het. The ninth letter is very flexible since it looks like several things, like a wheel that rolls onward, a container lid that keeps goods inside, X's and O's to play tic-tac-toe with, and of course the other kind of X's and O's. And that's Tet. The 10th letter looks like an arm reaching out for something, fitting because Yod actually means arm in Hebrew. It implies a source of power to get or obtain things that you want. It's the first letter of the name of the source, implying the power to be anything and everything. And that's Yod. The 11th letter resembles an open palm, which is an act of freely giving, freely receiving, or allowing someone to do or to be something or someone. And it's fitting because the letter used as a suffix is used to refer to you. And that's Kaf. The 12th letter is represented by a staff or a cane that guides the way. Lamed itself means to learn, study, and its prefix is the equivalent in English for the word to or for. It highlights intention, direction, and the purpose of one's actions. And that's Lamed. The 13th letter looks like waves of water, representing the constant movement and change of life. Water is a means of transport and cleansing. Note that all life originates from the water. Mem used as a prefix is the English equivalent for the word from. The suffix yod mem makes anything, plural. And that's Mem. The 14th letter resembles a sprouted seed, representing growth, progress, and profitability in the things being pursued. In Hebrew, the word nun itself means to continue and to increase in perpetuity. In the Paleo version, it resembles more of a spark or a bolt of lightning. And that's Nun. The 15th letter is represented by a pictograph of a prop or support. It symbolizes a sturdy foundation or structure that provides stability and security. In Hebrew, samek also means to support or to lean on. Even words associated with the letter can imply that support systems lead to one feeling rested, refreshed, and revived, and that's samek. The 16th letter is an I, which is all about vision, perception, appearance, and insight. It implies the ability to see, consider, and understand things in a very deep way, even to know something, or someone, by intimate experience. And that's Owen. The 17th letter looks like and is the word for mouth, and it even can represent the winds of speech. It's about the ability to express yourself and communicate ideas freely and effectively. As it also looks like an opening, it implies that you can speak your way into and out of certain situations. So watch what you say. And that's pay. The 18th letter is represented by a bait hook. It can also resemble someone who is patiently lying in wait for something, like for an object of desire, or in another circumstance, a sniper lying in wait for the target. In Hebrew, the word zadi literally means side. If we add the 19th letter, we get the word for righteous. So be patient in getting what you want because it will all be made right eventually. And that's zadi. The 19th letter is represented by a pictograph of the rising or setting sun and symbolizes time. It's the base word for circuit or revolution. It symbolizes the idea of looking at the future coming towards you or going away from you. It is the eternal now that is ever before us. And that's Kuf. The 20th letter is ahead of a person's face. It symbolizes the leader, someone who is at the top of what they do. It also represents the first, the beginning, and the foundation of anything that comes after it. And that's Resh. The 21st letter is represented by two sharp teeth that crunch things to bits. Teeth are used to break things down, and so it's fitting that they form the base for words like change and repeat. But because of the destructive nature of chewing things, it is also the base for other words like hatred and fire. You are what you eat and consume, indeed. And that's Shin. The 22nd and final letter is represented by an X, like the shape of a mark or where a signature goes on a document. It symbolizes an agreement to do something, and also represents the idea of marking something as completed. Also, it can be seen as if it were to lead you to the buried treasure. And that's Ta.